Wallington, New Jersey. Nestled along the bank of the Passaic River in between Passaic and East Rutherford, it is a quaint town not even 1 square mile in size. Unless you live nearby or in the town itself, you'll be hard-pressed to find people who know of this town, and even less who know of its history. The town was founded on December 31st, 1894. This heart-shaped town has historically been home to a vibrant immigrant community consisting in large part of Polish immigrants and their descendants. This has resulted in a unique culture and a place that prides itself on its parks, community, and schools. Unfortunately for the town, there were unknown dangers that threatened that very same community. In 1951, a factory was opened within Wallington at 350 Mount Pleasant Avenue. It was called the Industrial Latex Corporation. For 32 years, the factory manufactured chemical adhesives and rubber compounds, both natural and synthetic. Little did Wallington residents know, this factory located across the street from one of their schools was poisoning the ground their children stood on and perhaps even the water they drank. The issues began to become apparent in the early 1980s. Although there were official complaints about industrial latex from before 1980, the extent of their negligence would not be revealed until 1983. In that year, an employee of the company was spotted dumping toxic, ignitable barrels of waste in the Kingsland landfill in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. This caught the attention of federal investigators, and they soon came down upon industrial latex. What they discovered was staggering: around 1,600 barrels of toxics that were open, leaking, or lying on their sides. After initial testing, it was found that some of the material was highly combustible, able to catch a flame in temperatures as low as 95 degrees. Industrial Latex would close that same year. Jack Shore, the president of Industrial Latex Corp., would be charged 2 years later, in 1985, with 1 count each of abandoning hazardous waste, unlawful storage, illegal disposal, and creating a widespread risk of public injury. Following these revelations, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, NJDEP for short, and the Environmental Protection Agency, also called the EPA, would get involved. In 1986, the initial cleanup was initiated. The EPA treated or removed 130,000 gallons of contaminated liquids. These liquids included the flammable organic liquids mentioned earlier and polychlorinated biphenyl liquid waste, also known as PCBs. PCBs are known to cause cancer and other adverse health effects such as developmental problems in children. The site was stabilized, with all of the removed waste being moved off-site to either be destroyed or stored securely. The site itself would be fenced off as investigations continued on the extent of the contamination. In 1989, industrial latex would be designated a Superfund site. In 1990, the U.S. Public Health Service published a health assessment for the site. The soil had indeed been contaminated with PCBs, and there was a distinct possibility that the nearby groundwater had been contaminated as well. With this information, the EPA decided in 1992 to do 3 things. First, excavation and treatment of contaminated soil, followed by backfilling. Second, excavation and off-site disposal of about 600 buried drums. And 3, dismantling and off-site disposal of all remaining equipment and the 2 buildings on the property. Following these actions, a site reevaluation in 1997 determined that the actions taken had achieved their aims, that the site would no longer pose a public health risk. After all cleanup was completed, the site was delisted from Superfund in 2003. While that seems like a nice and tidy ending, unfortunately the residents of Wallington would have to deal with contaminants from industrial latex again. In 2016, residual contamination was discovered on a nearby property. The EPA had to once again step in and do more soil cleanup. The residual soil cleanup was completed in spring of 2017. This incident makes it unsure if this site really is clean now. It is possible that there might be another instance of residual soil contamination. However, as it stands, the industrial latex site is supposedly clean and is nothing more than an empty field. The people of Wallington have mostly forgotten about industrial latex, and one can only hope that this site really is done for good this time.